Hello, my name's Odessa Esco, and this is Commonly Confused English. Today's video is about colloquialisms. This topic was brought to us by a subscriber. Thank you so much for leaving another comment, and thank you so much for your engagement. I promise to get faster at responding to your video questions. So, what are colloquialisms? I know it's a big, intimidating word, but spoken colloquialisms come from people speaking, and more specifically, a specific group of people kind of deciding that this is our number one phrase for this topic. Take greetings, for example. Everybody in English can understand, hi, hello. But as you travel to different places, not everybody greets with hi, hello. You'll go certain places and they'll say top of the morning or you all right. We have colloquialisms that we can share as a whole of English speakers. I have colloquialisms that are just for Canada. I have colloquialisms that are just for Ontario. I have colloquialisms that are just for Black women. So sometimes you'll be in an area or in a space where you think a colloquialism is used, but maybe it's used in a different space or only with a specific group. So that's important to know as we talk about colloquialisms. I don't want you guys to be like, whoa, I used this Canadian colloquialism and they didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, did you use an African American colloquialism? Did you use an East Asian Canadian colloquialism? What kind of group were you thinking you were connecting to? Or what kind of group did you think the colloquialism was coming from? That's something you can't forget because different things mean different things to different people. A positive colloquialism here could be a negative colloquialism there. So it's really important to know what exactly we're talking about when we're talking about a colloquialism. We're talking about a specific group of people's connection to a language. It's their number one choice. It's their preferred way to speak in this setting or this situation. And that's what you can't forget. It's not right or wrong. It's just specific to that area or that group of people. Now, you might be thinking, how is this helpful? If colloquialisms change by region and group of people, is it really worth the trouble to understand the colloquialisms of a group of people you might want to communicate with? And the answer is yes. Colloquialisms actually do, surprisingly, help people understand you faster and more intimately. Let's talk about how colloquialisms help you get your point across faster. Colloquialisms come from a group of people saying an expression or body language or something over time to the point where kind of everybody does it and everybody knows what somebody means when they say or do this colloquialism. Not all colloquialisms are straightforward, like, hey, how's it going? That's a pretty straightforward greeting. You can kind of guess the meaning. Some colloquialisms are very embedded in culture or a specific moment in media. You never know what the colloquialism is actually coming from, but you know it's attached to the people. So if you use it, you have a bridge to the people that you're using that use that colloquialism. That helps get your message across faster because if you can kind of like speak in code to people and they understand the code, you don't have to take your time explaining what you're saying. You can just be like, yeah, and that's what it did. And everybody who knows what it did, they'd be like, well, that's what it did. You won't have to be like, well, that's what do you mean? That's what it did. That's what happened. That was the outcome. That's life. Like you can explain it more if somebody doesn't get it, and that would take more time. But it works in reverse when you're talking to people who do get it. You just erase like 3 or 4 sentences because you know this group of people understand what you mean when you say, and that's what it do. And that's what it was. Like they know, you don't have to explain it. So it saves you time, and then the intimacy comes in because they understand you better because you're speaking their language, their specific coded language. Colloquialisms are like an in to the people. This is the heart of the people, the heart of the group you're talking to. Everybody in this group is attached to this expression and saying probably for some reason you don't know, but for them, it probably will have a deeper meaning or at least like a cultural traditional meaning. A lot of colloquialisms are passed down and you're saying things you don't kind of know where they came from, but you know it's like from your area, it's your people's thing or your country's thing, and you keep going with it. There are colloquialisms like that, but there are some that are like specific and new, right? The new ones especially, they have recent meanings, and those meanings will create that intimacy that, oh, I understand where you're coming from. I know your struggles. I know what's happening kind of in your world. And you say all that by using the colloquialism, like talking their language. Another way this creates a faster and more intimate communication exchange is tone. Tone is the little factor that makes a colloquialism a colloquialism. If I use a colloquialism that kind of comes preloaded with a certain tone, it's important for me to know that that colloquialism has that tone embedded with it. Some things are always going to rub people the wrong way because that's a colloquialism. It's negative. For example, I'm from Canada, I'm from Toronto, and when people want to like ask somebody if they have a problem, like if we have a disagreement and they want to do it in an aggressive way, they'll be like, are you good? Are you okay? They're not asking if you're good. They're not asking if you're okay. They're asking you if you want to do something about how you're feeling. And to me, you're not feeling very positive. It sounds like you want to fight. Like, what you gonna do? Are you okay? Are you good? Do you want to fight me? That's the tone embedded in, are you good? In Canada and where I'm from. Now, when you go to the UK, are you good? You good, love? You all right? That's how they say hi. That's how they actually check on you and stuff. So when I first got there, because that colloquialism was a negative to me, when I got there, I was on guard. Like people would be like, you all right? I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Are you all right? Like the F? Like why is everybody trying to fight me in the UK? And obviously, I got to know the tone they had with it. It was positive, it was greeting, it was warm, it was welcoming. And I understood that was their colloquial greeting. Like you walk into a store, you all right? That's how they say hello. Tone is important because it can be positive, negative, but it can also be funny, serious, caring, mischievous. There's so many different tones of speech, different vibes of words. So colloquialisms are really like a cheat code to get into the emotions of a group of people or a region because they're so packed with tone. When it's a colloquialism, it's like a saying, right? On steroids. Like this is what everybody knows and everybody also has like an emotional attachment almost to these phrasings. If you're speaking in colloquialisms, you're speaking in the insider side of the language. If you can't speak in colloquialisms, people will understand you and can understand you. But like I said, it'll take a longer time for you to be understood and it'll be less intimate right away. Like it'll take you longer to build these relationships than if you can just like talk the talk of the people. I'm gonna take a look at some of the questions and some of the sentences that was given to me in the comments that I got that started this whole video. Thank you. And I'm just gonna walk us through where the colloquialisms are coming in and how the colloquialism changes the tone of the sentence, perhaps, right? Depending on the region. I'm from Canada, I'm giving you a Canadian perspective. These are the sentences that the person who asked the question gave me to start. They said, take a look at these sentences. There's a difference. I just don't know what the difference is. Can you help me? And honestly, at first, I was like, there is no difference. What is this person asking? I was really confused. And then I took a closer look and I saw the nuance, the little details in the sentences. Look at this. Take a look at this. I reserved a table. I'll make a reservation. Hug me. Give me a hug. I fell. I had a fall. On the right side, I felt it was more personable. It was more friendly. It was more, fluent in a nice way. And on the other side, that I call standard, I felt like there's nothing wrong with these sentences. They just seem a little cold, a little dry, a little robotic at times, especially the I reserved a table. Where I come from, most people would say, I'll make a reservation, or let me make a reservation. We use make more. And once I realized the difference was kind of in the phrasing and the word choice, I realized we're talking about colloquialisms. These sentences offer the exact same information, but the vibe is just different. I am from Canada, and I'm taking this with a Canadian perspective, but the colloquials that I've decided are colloquial are because I've heard these used in English and kind of in a way that it's like habitual and a pattern. You don't really have to think. Someone would be like, oh, can you get a reservation at this restaurant? You would respond almost without thinking, oh yeah, sure, I'll make a reservation. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll make sure we reserve a table. That's a little chunky, a little clunky. For no reason other than over time, these are the things that sound good to us. Especially with give me a hug. People would never really be like, hug me. That sounds kind of aggressive. Like, I don't know of a situation where you just look at someone and be like, hug me. You'd really have to put a lot of tone and emotion to make it nice. You have to be like, hug me. You have to put a lot of effort because hug me is an order. Give me a hug is still technically an order, but it just has the vibe of being nice. It's sweet. Give me a hug. It's more of like a question, a suggestion, whereas hug me is definitely an order. I break down the nuances and the tone of each and every one of these sentences on my link tree that is linked in my channel description. So if you click on my channel description, click up the link tree, and then click on Google Docs, you'll be able to find commonly confused English, and you'll see these same sentences, and I break down exactly the tone in each. I just want to go over the overall effect of what's happening between a standard sentence and what is colloquial, so you can kind of see the difference. Standard sentences are very bare bones. They can't be confused. They're factual, they're grammar, they're just founded in English understanding very generically, whereas colloquials kind of, you can see by the extra words. I don't want to call them extra words, but colloquials will have a word here and there that a standard sentence probably won't, that gives it that friendly tone or gives it that colloquial push. If you see a difference in these sentences outside of them being standard and colloquial, please feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts. But this is how I got on the topic of colloquialisms, and this is why I feel the answer to your question lied here. There's really nothing different about these sentences other than the emotions and the vibe that they're creating. And if that's the only difference, we're getting into colloquialisms. As you can see from the examples, you can't just look at a sentence and be like, bet, that's colloquial. No, you're not gonna know. So where do you find colloquialisms, and how do you know when something is a colloquialism? That is the beauty in living life. When you are living in a certain place, you'll see the patterns and you'll start using them naturally. Now, if you're an English learner and you kind of want like a little cheat code, you want to just start using colloquialisms to make yourself feel confident or comfortable in whatever speaking arena you're in, at work, at school, with friends, just casual living. These colloquialisms will help you explain yourself faster and connect to people faster. So if you're looking to just kind of find some that can help you with where you are in your English level now, take a look at the media and the people that you're listening to. Try to listen to live media. Colloquialisms are now. What are the people saying right now? What's hot and popping? It's not like about trends, because we have lots of words that are trendable and they are here for a minute and gone. Colloquialisms are a little bit more permanent than like a trending word. You know what I mean? It's not like, what do people used to say when I was younger? Epic. There was a time in my life where people would say epic when something was really interesting or cool. They'd be like, that's epic. We're going on an epic hunt. That's gone now. That's gone. That was a trend. That was a fad. But something that's truly colloquial, it'll probably last a couple of generations. For example, how we greet people. Greetings are extremely colloquial. So pay attention to the media that you're interested in. The YouTubers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, whatever. Live media. Take a look at how they greet people. How do they say goodbye? How do they segue between topics? That's something that is very colloquial as well. How we change topics and how we, basically what do we use to bridge a sentence with another sentence? A lot of places will have a pattern to it. So that's my best recommendation, because colloquialisms are living and breathing like the people, right? They're changing constantly and they're being tweaked constantly. Sometimes the colloquialism will develop and evolve. It won't change, but like the meaning will slowly start to change. So basically you have to listen to people that you want to talk like. You need to listen to multiple people from that area, right? Because it's what's the majority saying. So don't just listen to one person from Canada and be like, I know how to speak Canadian. I know Canadian colloquialisms. That's not, no. It'll be something over time and something you play with. Like, try out the thing you think is colloquial. If somebody understands you and their eyes light up like, dang, yeah, like you get me. Colloquialism right there. You can definitely tell when you've said a colloquialism. Just, it's the icon, it's everything we're saying that we don't have to say between the eyes because you just use that colloquialism. Let's make sure you retained all the major points of this video. Colloquialisms are hard to talk about because they look different in different communities and in different languages. But basically, the most basic explanation of this is just, how does English look and sound like in a specific region to specific people versus other groups? Colloquials are basically how we put culture into our language. They are very much a sign of the people, how they're feeling, what they think and believe, and what they think is appropriate to look and sound like in the language that they're using. That's all we have time for. I want to thank my commenter and subscriber again. Thank you so much for your engagement. Anybody else with a question, don't be shy. Make sure you type, like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, click the link in my channel description for the Linktree. That way you can follow along in the Google Docs that I have made with all the written versions of the commonly confused English videos with more examples and more tips. I'll see you in my next video. Everybody stay cute. Bye.